This is the Dental Up Podcast, your daily source for insights from dentists and leaders in the industry. Brought to you by Keating Dental Lab, a full-service, award-winning dental lab that is here to add value to your dental practice. With high-quality restorations, friendly, reliable service, the best products and prices, come experience the Keating difference. Visit KeatingDentalLab.com for details.
Well, hello, Dental Law podcasters. This is a guest host. My name is Nick Azar. I am the VP of Sales and Marketing here at Keating Dental Laboratory. As you all know, we are a full-service lab, and we are celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. So congratulations to Sean Keating on a well-deserved recognition from the industry and as well from everybody that works here. I had an opportunity to really pick a couple of different topics and a couple of different guests, and I chose one in particular. Her name is Dr. Beth Herko. There's many reasons why I've chosen Dr. Herko to speak with her, but I'm going to give you a little bit of information, and then we are going to start and let Dr. Herko herself tell us her story. She's worked for a few different dentists who had influenced her decision as well in opening up her own private practice about 4 or 5 years ago. It's unbelievable what the growth of that practice had been since these past few years. And for someone kind of really her age and someone with her drive, able to start a practice from nothing and build it up to where she has 2 other associates, and I believe working on another one, full staff, 4 hygienists, 3 or so dental assistants, front office and office manager. And all of that's really just to go and show how successful she really became because of her. One is really her education, obviously, and 2 is her understanding to really what her patient wants and to understanding to her capabilities and also understanding to maybe her weaknesses. And as she brings more people on, she wanted to make sure that whoever she brought on really complemented what she did not have. The one thing really that stands out from all of this is that she is one of the very few, I think it's 6% of general dentists have attained and achieved that FAGD designation, which is the fellow of the American Academy of General Dentistry. And that's a great accomplishment. And what makes it even greater is that she is a female dentist. So aside from being a general dentist, she's one of the very few in the country that has attained that. A lot of kudos to Dr. Herko, and great doctor, and hope that you'll enjoy this episode with her. So thank you for listening to us again. And here is Dr. Beth Herko. All right. So Dr. Herko, this is Nick Azar with Keating Dental Lab, and I'm in the sales and marketing part of the company. So I think usually you talk to somebody a lot more technical than I am, but so hopefully it'll be fun talking to you this time.
Yeah.
So, I went to your website, read a few things, and I can trace it back all the way to when in high school you did some volunteer work in an ortho office.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you know at that time that's really what you wanted to do, though, as far as dentistry?
No, definitely not. I thought I wanted to go into medicine, but then I did a master's in public health, and I worked for pediatric hematology oncology. And I saw a lot of, I think that it takes a very special person sometimes to manage both the home and the work environment. I noticed that in the group that I was working for, pediatric hematology oncology, it seemed that people were either really, really great at the work front or really awesome at the home front. And there were some that could do both, but it was kind of like very rare to see that someone could manage both ends extremely well. And I didn't want to take that chance on myself because, you get to the end and it's like, oh, I screwed up on those are major aspects, right?
Right.
Either the work life or the home life. And then I thought back to my experience when I was in dental school, and he went to all his kids' games. He had a very successful career. It seemed easier to have both being a dentist. And also you can't kill anyone. I mean, you have to try very hard. And I think, there's less risk in really doing very, very, very bad damage. So I think that it just seems like it was a safer choice for me. And I'm happy that I chose it.
So looking back at that now, years into it that you've been working since, I think in 2006 when you graduated from NYU.
Yeah.
You definitely think that was a much better decision for you, knowing yourself and knowing your
for
mindset.
me. Yeah, for sure. Definitely for me, because you have a lot of flexibility and you can there's a lot of range that you can do with your career. And it's certainly very helpful.
When you graduated from NYU, did you know, or did you just go into a private practice, or did you go back and try to still convince yourself that this is the right thing to do?
So I did a 1-year residency at Mountainside Hospital, and that was great for me because I wasn't quite ready to go into private practice. And then I went into private practice after that. And I was happy being an associate. I didn't really have aspirations of owning my own practice. I liked the balance that I had between work and home. I had 2 children and I reduced my days. I was like 3 days a week, and my husband was working in the city. So I was like the point person if anything happened with the kids, because we're like an hour, maybe 45 minutes outside the city. So, some things come up sometimes, and you have to have, I was that parent when my kids were small, and that was great for me. And then I turned 40 and I ended up changing practices, and I went from like the pot into the fire in a practice that I chose. It was like a pseudo DSO practice. Mm-hmm. And it ended up not working out. And it was mostly, I felt at that moment that I had to have control of my own career because I was 40, and in this scenario, someone else was controlling it. And it just felt, like the older I got, that the harder it would be if I didn't have control to manage my career. So that's when I decided to open my own practice. And honestly, looking back, I should have probably had control earlier. I just wasn't ready.
I mean, that's obviously, in business, it's almost, it's almost impossible to kind of come out of school and start. I mean, I think just from what we know and what we see, many of them don't succeed. And I think maybe it was luck, or definitely more of wisdom on your part, having gone somewhere else a little bit and then started your own. I think we've started working together, you and Keating, back in 2012. Which is a while back. And was that with the New Providence practice that you have today?
No, that was in an associateship that I liked. The only reason I left that associateship was because the owner hired someone directly out of school to be out of network. The way it was working was all the hygiene exams were going out of network. So I had been there for about 6 years, and he hired someone right out of school, and that person was doing my patient exams.
Right.
And it was very awkward for me because the patients would ask like, "Oh, why can't you do my exam?" And then I didn't want to say because it's about money, and because then it's like I work for a practice that like is it was just a very, very awkward. And so that's when I looked to change I wouldn't have left there if it didn't work like that, right? But that's when I made the change to the DSO style practice that got me here. But I started working with Keating. It was a great associateship there in Morristown. They let me pick what lab I wanted to work with, and so I was able to pick Keating. And I didn't open the practice that I'm in now until 2018. So it's a 4-year-old scratch start.
The practice that New Providence that you're in right now.
Yeah.
And how did it evolve over the past? So basically, it took you from 2006 when you graduated until 2018.
Yeah, really long time.
Which is smart. No, that's the right amount of time. Because 80 to 90% of, actually 95% of businesses fail miserably the first 5 years, and it's not because they don't have a good idea, they don't have funding. It's just because they really don't know what they don't know. And that's kind of really important. And I think you got exposed to variety of type of practices and, business, if you would, and that allowed you to do what you did today. And I think that's probably, and I'm not speaking for you, but you're going to tell me that's the reason you are successful, right?
I mean, I don't know. I there's a lot of luck that went into it, and it's certainly a great number of people that I'm with. I got lucky choosing the right people to ride the ride with me. And not always didn't always choose the right people, but I definitely feel like I have the right team now, and that plays a big part of it too. But yeah, I think you're right. You learn things. I definitely learned things even from I learned a lot of things from the DSO practice that I worked for, because that's business, right? And
bottom line, you got to know the bottom line. I mean, at the end of the day, you can work so hard and make it $10 million, but if nothing is left at the end of the month in that bank account, something is not right.
Right, it's true.
Yeah. So how did, in your words, how did you evolve in the past 4 years, looking, taking a backwards view at the first day you started and now?
Oh yeah, sure.
How just a quick, like a CNN
evolution?
Version. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
How does that look like?
Yeah, so we started, I thought I got it too big of a practice space. It's 2,500 usable square feet. And I was going to be a 5-op solo doc practice. And I started with 3 ops and no hygienists in the first 2 months. And then slowly over time, we got team, and I had 1 front desk and an assistant. So it was the 3 of us at the start, 0 patients on day 1. And we grew the practice to, slow. Every year we would add a chair. And then when we got to 5 chairs, we realized that we needed more space. So we took the consult room out and made a 6th. And then we realized we needed more space, and we kept growing the team. And Dr. Lisa joined the practice in September of 2020. And now the practice has 4 hygienists, 3 assistants. We're getting a 4th, 2 front office people and office manager, Tiago. And we have 8 ops now. So we got a little bit more space across the hall from where my practice is. And we moved the break room across the hall. So now we had the smaller break room to start. But we're 12. We're going to be 13 in like 2 weeks. And we're bringing on another associate because Dr. Lisa is going to have a baby. So she's going out on maternity leave, and we're bringing on another associate. And our intention is Dr. Lisa is going to come back full time, and we'll be 3 full-time-ish docs in the 8-op practice with 4 hygienists.
So, I mean, if I read you, or at least just heard you well, is honestly the addition of hygienists and the addition of associates is really what contributed to.
I think the influx of patients, right? And because I couldn't handle them all by myself, then that brought the additional people. Yeah. So the patient growth, because there becomes a limit to how much one practice can process in the way of new patients. There's a limit if you have a certain number of staff or team. And the limit right now for us is we go through like 80 to 100 new patients a month.
That's
and so,
good.
a lot of them stay. So then we end up having to increase the team to manage the patients even more, right? It's just
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But so one thing, if you were to kind of give a highlight on as far as what would people know your practice for when it comes to, and I guess that's really the right question to ask, what do you say it's your most proficient dentistry that you practice there?
Well, I think we're known for the technology that we've adopted in the practice. I think we have intraoral cameras in each room, and we take photos of everything. And I think that the patients really have come to know it. And we have a CBCT. And so, they get different views of their teeth that they haven't seen before.
Yeah. So they really, technology was a key. And the new patients that are coming, you would say most of them probably are aware that you have technology in your office.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Most of them have never been scanned by, we have 2 iTero scanners, and all the new patients get scanned now with the iTero, and they most of them say they've never seen their teeth like that before.
Right. And you're obviously using iTero to scan more for kind of a diagnostic tool, correct? To see other things.
We use it as a communication tool a lot of the ways, right? So it shows how the teeth are contacting each other and has like a bite force map on there, and it shows the teeth all together. Like, we're trying to get the patients away from looking at individual teeth and seeing the teeth as a group. When they look at a whole scan of all their teeth, you really don't have to say very much. They can see it themselves, right? It's just
absolutely. I mean, a picture speaks 1,000 words, and I think that's kind of really what you are able to deliver to them. And even the ones that are not as familiar or not as educated, if you would, for the lack of better terminology, they still can see this and it makes sense to them.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, what are some of them? Again, now we're talking about just core competency, if you would. Now, implant is something that it's growing quite a bit at Keating in our business. And I don't know how that is in your practice. Have you adopted to implant early on, or is it something you're just?
Yeah, no, we have someone that comes to our practice once a month to place implants. Now, we don't refer all of our patients that need implants to the person that comes to our practice, but he does a lot of the like single ones, the straightforward ones in our practice for people whose schedule align with his. And yeah, we do quite a bit of implant restoration, as you probably can see from my history at Keating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But now, again, without taking any specific type of restoration, but what, in your opinion, what are some of the easier cases that you've enjoyed delivering that have come from Keating? If you pick a particular product.
Yeah. So I like how with Keating, because there are some labs where you can't just use the scan body that comes with, it's strange, right? Keating, you can use the scan body that comes with the implant and you just scan it. Like, so if you have I like doing single tooth implant restorative, it's very easy. You put the manufacturer, what kind of implant they have, the scan body in, you scan it with the iTero, send it to Keating. It's easy. It's super simple. It's not always that way with other labs. You do all this work, you get the name brand scan body and you send it and they're like, oh, we don't work with this, and I'm like, oh, you don't work with the legit top brand, you don't work with Straumann or Nobel scan body. Like, it's just weird.
No, that's true. Have you taken advantage, by the way, just speaking of scan bodies, we were given 5 scan bodies at no additional cost to all of the customers. Did somebody actually share that with you or not?
No, I didn't know that.
So I am going to, at the end of our conversation, I would love to send you the list of all of the implant companies. You could pick any 5 you want.
Amazing. Thank you.
I'll be happy to do that. Absolutely.
Oh, so generous. Thank you.
Absolutely. One topic that come to mind, and I saw that on your website, but I wasn't sure how involved you were with the sleep apnea. Because, there are certain doctors that they call themselves the sleep dentistry. So they practice that sleep apnea probably 80% of the time in their practice. I don't know how that is in your practice.
Yeah, no. So I wanted to get involved with sleep apnea because we're in people's mouths all the time. And sometimes they don't realize that it's amazing, actually, the number of people that have apnea in the general population that don't realize that they have apnea. And there's a lot of signs that, just from looking at their teeth, if you see like acid reflux or wear, and if they have high blood pressure, we're taking their blood pressure, those kind of signs of apnea. And then you just ask them about their sleep or if they're snoring. And it's been, we refer, most of the time, we just refer out to the local MD. If we suspect that someone has apnea, we just refer them locally to sleep medicine doctor. And then they take it from there, like whatever that particular doctor feels is the best treatment from them. It's kind of rare that we would get back, an apnea device request. It happens occasionally. We probably do, in terms of like the number of devices that we make per year, it's probably like 6 or so. Okay. But we refer people out for apnea screening every single week. Definitely, like probably 5 people every week. We're like, okay, you need to talk to your MD. We're seeing these signs. And that's really that, to be able to point it out to them as like kind of like a whole body type, if it happens to be that they can't deal with the CPAP or, then of course we'll tell them what we have, but it's not our the reason we got into it was not really that. And I know we could do a little more work in terms of letting the MDs know that we can provide that service, but we just haven't really worked on that side of the business all that much. And we just, focus on the patients.
Right. I mean, and it's a big business, just so you know. I mean, there are, we work obviously with a number of doctors throughout the country, and we see some that have migrated totally towards sleep dentistry, and it's similar. It's no different than implants. You obviously can have an MD come, once a month and diagnose a certain number of patients and so on and so forth. Exactly like what your, oral surgeon does for your implants. But that's a big business. But I'm glad that at least you'll have somewhat involvement in it. And hopefully is that an area, do you think that it'll ever become a part of the business or?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly can, especially like you never know what's going to happen in life, right? Like practicing sleep medicine, dentistry, like just doing apnea devices. It's not very painful to your neck or to your back. It's very, so if you were to have, like, I could see, if something happens where it's harder to practice general dentistry because it's very hard on your physical body. If it, you get a little bit older, you could always take the practice in that direction, right?
Absolutely.
And focus on it. Certainly myself, Lisa, or Matt will, if that option is available.
Right. I just want to transition a little bit more about a couple of items. One is, as you started the business and had quite a bit of experience, you probably still face some challenges.
Yeah.
And just kind of, if you touch on one or two, and more importantly, it's not just a challenge, but how did you really overcome them? So the ones that you could not overcome, obviously we don't want to even talk about, but the ones that,
no, it's okay.
but the ones that you did and it was successful, because that's, I think, something a lot of people can learn from is your challenges and any business person's challenges and how they really, at the end of the day, when you fast forward, what does it look like after the challenge happens?
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, there have been a lot of challenges along the way, right? Like a ton, certainly. And I guess I could get really specific, but it's like, to me, the bottom line is mindset, right? If you let something defeat you, then it will defeat you. If you decide it's not going to beat you, then I think that makes all the difference, really, because your mind can find the possibilities if you let it. In terms of any problem, and there's problems every day, every week. Certainly went through massive, I had early on, I had an employee steal from me. She used a credit card to order Amazon gift cards to her house. And it happened over a period of time where, personally, I was going through a lot. And so it's just, if you let things, you have to just keep a positive outlook.
True. That's mentally, but how did you actually deal with it? So
how do I deal with?
Yeah. That's one area that definitely, I think a lot of dental practices have no idea how much money walks out of their door one way or another, especially ones that take cash in. So I know embezzlement is a big thing in dental practices. So
sure. Yeah. So I found out on like Halloween 2019, and I spent a lot of time on Amazon customer service. And it's really funny, they won't, even though she used my credit card to make the purchases, they won't give up the information unless you can say what account it was from. And so I just, thinking of who has access to potentially my credit card, I gave a couple email addresses, and it was the first one I tried. And then Amazon sort of let me know that it had been that front office person. And so the very next morning, we start Friday mornings at 6:30 in the morning because we open the practice at 7. I just brought her into the office and I let her go and with the office manager there. And then after that, I filed a police report because you have to sort of do that because it's a felony. I mean, it was like $3,000 worth of stuff in total. And it was like 20 something number of charges. I didn't pursue like pressing charges against her. I honestly just didn't want to deal with that. I mean, a lot of people would say, oh, then she could do it again. But it's really interesting because I actually loved her as a person, even though, and I still, even though she did that, and certainly I just don't want the negative energy that going and, pursuing someone in a negative way brings. I just, break the tie and keep it moving. And while it maybe doesn't help the next person that she does it to, I can't spend time with that negativity.
Yeah. So, but most importantly, what did you do going forward to stop this from happening again?
Yeah. So I was usually, okay. So I usually check my credit cards every month, and now I have an office manager who checks it. But at the time that she did that, it was a crazy time. And it's amazing that things happen. My son was diagnosed with leukemia on July 8th, 2019. And my husband wasn't working in the city anymore. And I had like the scratch start practice. So it was one of those things where you had to it was make or break in terms of like everything sort of riding on the practice to do well for everything.
Yeah.
So, sometimes that's how life is, right?
Yeah.
You just have to.
That's hard. That's hard. Again, I hope your son is doing better.
Oh, he's doing great. He's
Awesome.
He's almost a year off of treatment now. Yeah,
Awesome.
He's doing great. He's really good.
News.
Yeah.
One thing here, I am extremely proud of seeing you as one of those FAGD dentists.
Oh, yeah.
You had the only 6% of general dental, and I'm just quoting what it says on that emblem. Only 6% of general dentists have done it. And it says, and yours is one.
Oh, yeah. I love AGD.
How does that feel? And how does that really translate to your patients? And how do they see it? And then finally, what do you continue to do so you can continue to rank as one of those very successful dentists that are only 6%?
Yeah, I enjoy taking continuing education. I really like the learning process. And I think my patients feel that because we bring it back to the practice and change things. Like it's never stagnant. I actually get bored if I'm doing the same thing all the time. So I always want to bring it up. And
you gotta continue to work on teeth though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But there's always more to learn. You don't realize what you don't know.
That's smart. That's true.
There's always more out there. If you think that you know it all, then you really need to get out there.
Yeah, really, you're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you think, you bring it to the office, but how do you really let the patient know that, hey, I've spent 20 hours over the past month or so going through this? How does that translate to them? What is it? How do you do it? And I think it's important that the patient sees that. A hairstylist can say, I'm going to go to London to take a course on how to create new haircut. And they come back to their customers and say, hey, I've got a new cut that I want to share with you. How do you actually take that knowledge and translate it back to where your patient says, wow, this is what I need to continue to come. And not only that, but I want to continue to tell my friends about this dentist.
Yeah, well, I think they see, well, a lot of the learning is around the technology, which of course they see, right?
Okay, right.
Yeah, I think a lot of the CE that we've taken as a team is around all the technology that we have. Outside of that, though, being able to address problems, like sometimes you don't know, if you haven't learned something, you can't see it. Mm-hmm. Right. So they wouldn't necessarily know that I learned X, but I'm helping them differently with the problems that they're presenting with.
Okay. So it's not a conversation that you carry with them and share with them about how. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Outside the technology piece, which they obviously are aware and they see. It's not like I don't announce. I feel like it would be awkward. I learned this thing,
Yeah, right.
It's just something inherent. And then I explain what I've learned to them,
right.
Almost like teaching them about their problem, right? Because now I can see it and, teach them.
Absolutely. This is actually the new stats, which is absolutely mind-boggling. It says more women are joining the dental profession than ever before, which is significantly impacting the traditional male-dominant industry. Why do you think women are being pulled to dentistry? In your own 2 words. And I know you shared with me why.
Yeah.
Maybe you were pulled into dentistry, but do you think that's
Oh yeah, that's it all the way. I mean, you can work 2 days a week if you want to.
Right.
That's it. Yeah, you could be at home 5 days a week, and you could still make. You could. There's nothing else that's really like that where
So
you can have.
how does it feel to you to be, because you are successful? So how does it feel to be a successful female dentist, when you are among other colleagues who are male dentists? I mean,
I feel like I'm around a lot of successful female dentists. I do know a lot of successful female dentists. I'm in a consulting group. I'm part of a Dental Success Institute, and there are a lot of women there, and it's nice to get around them. There are a lot of really talented, successful women in that, and it's great men and women alike. But to your point, I don't feel like I don't feel like much of a unique entity anymore. I feel like it's already apparent. There's tons of successful female dentists, and it's great to see them and to learn from them, and just keep going. It's great.
How old are your kids now, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't mind at all. Yeah, my children are 13 and 9.
Okay, so if you're talking to your 9-year-old today,
yes,
and is she a girl or a boy?
He's a boy.
Okay, well, let's assume we
a girl.
Switch sex.
Okay,
it's a girl.
You got it. It's a girl.
So what advice would you give such a young girl interested in becoming a dentist one day?
Interested in becoming a dentist?
One day. What would you tell that 9-year-old? That the
end game is worth the grind, right? Because for 9 years old, there's a lot of grinding before the end game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tests and a lot of studying, but I there's a lot of sacrifice before you get to be in a place where you can do the 2 days a week, or it's not just like a lot of my friends were out doing things, and I had to be in the library studying. It's not all roses, right? There's a lot of
absolutely.
There's a lot of exchange of time invested to get to this place, but it's worth it. I think it's worth it.
Okay, so that would be, at the end of the day, it's you work hard and you reap the benefits if you choose to continue to work hard.
That's right.
Okay, good. In your couple of personal questions, and we'll get out of this. But you have so much that you have to do every single day: family, practice, your own self. Where do you find time? And when you have time, what is the best thing you like to do in that free time?
Yeah, so I get up pretty early, and I try to establish a good morning routine, because I learned it from my dental coaches, and it definitely helps. It helps with the mindset of the day. So I would say I like to work out and have some time to reflect on what's to come. And I choose to do that most of the days. So that's part of my free time. But I enjoy spending time with my children when I'm home and being there with them. I know it's kind of a lame thing to say as your hobby.
Absolutely not. That's not a hobby. It's a necessity. But it's a welcome necessity. It's something that you enjoy doing.
I do enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, because a hobby is something you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it and you just do it, then it's really not a hobby.
Yeah.
It's a burden. So I'm glad that your kids are not a burden, but they're a hobby to you.
Yeah.
Any particular society that you support more? I know you said your son is recovered from leukemia. Is Cancer Society, is there anything that you personally say, hey, that's where I can put my money, or that's where I can put my time?
Yeah, the Valerie Fund is a local cancer organization, and they help cancer families, pediatric patients and their families go through treatment. And we have a new patient special in our office, which basically it's like a second opinion, and patients pay $20, and we donate that $20 second opinion to the Valerie Fund.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we've given them a lot of donation, and it feels good to donate towards something that does a lot of good in the neighborhood.
This is awesome. Last question. What's the name of your dog?
What's the name of my dog? Billy.
I know you have a dog.
Yeah.
Because it says that on your website. Billy.
Yeah, Billy.
How did you get that name?
My children picked it. Yeah. Yeah. Billy is a girl. French bulldog.
That's good. Dr. Herko, I can't really, just to tell you how grateful I am for the time you've allowed me. And you are not just a good dentist, but you're a good person.
Oh, thank you so much.
So I am thankful to you for the time, for the information. And I'm sure a lot of people that would listen to this would be just as grateful as well for someone like you to share that with them.
Oh,
so,
no problem.
Many thanks.
Happy to share.
And want to wish you a happy 4th of July.
Oh, you too. Thank you.
Enjoy your family.
Thank you.
Enjoy taking Billy out for a walk as well.
Oh, for sure.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend. Thank you.
You too.
Bye now.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening to the Dental Up Podcast, your daily source for insights from dentists and leaders in the industry. This episode is sponsored by Keating Dental Lab, here to add value to your dental practice. With high-quality restorations, friendly, reliable service, the best products and prices, come experience the Keating difference. Visit KeatingDentalLab.com for details.